Hello learners, I am Professor Munish Kumar Bhardwaj from School of Engineering and Technology, and today I'll discuss with you one of the course which is common to PGDINDS and MSCIDS, and this course is basically MEV001, which is Introduction to Environmental Health basically. So first I would like to just share with you that what is the content of this course basically. This course is based on 4 blocks. Block 1 comprises of environment and ecology basically. So all concepts related to environment ecology will be covered here. Then block 2 comprises air, water and soil pollution. Means here how the environment is getting polluted, what are the factors, what are the causes basically, and how different pollutions are polluting our different component of the environment. So this is being discussed in this block 2. Then we move to block 3 basically, in which we will be discussing about noise, radiation, solid waste, electronic waste pollution. So these are related to basically that noise pollution, that radiations basically, which are affecting our health basically. Then we move to block 4, and in block 4 what we have covered is environmental health monitoring, that how we can monitor the environment health. These are the 4 blocks. What are different units in these 4 blocks? The list is here. In block 1, basically, there are 4 units. Unit 1 is Introduction to Natural Environment. Means here we will be discussing about that. What is natural environment? What are its components? And how human interacts with the natural environment, and how and why the environment is getting affected by the human activities. All these things we will be discussing here in this unit. Then we move to unit 2. Unit 2 consists of ecosystem. That what ecosystem is, what are different type of ecosystems there. So that thing we will be discussing in unit 2. Then in unit 3, we will be discussing about energy resources and conservation. The importance of this unit is that because we need energy to survive. For various acts of our life, we need energy. And when we produce energy, then we are polluting the environment. Because till now, major component of our energy requirement is being fulfilled by the source of energy which are polluting sources basically, conventional sources basically. So whenever we are producing energy, we are polluting the environment. So we will be discussing about that various type of energy, what are the source for that energy, what are the effect of producing energy from these sources on the environment. All these things we will be discussing here. Then in unit 4 basically we will be discussing about the global environment. What is the global environment? How it is being affected by the human activities. All these things we will be discussing in this unit. Then we move to block 2. As I told you, block 2 is on air, water and soil pollution. And here again, all the content is divided into 4 units. And these are the 4 units. Unit 1 is environmental chemistry and pollution. Then unit 2 is air pollution. Then unit 3 is water pollution. Then unit 4 is soil pollution. Means here we will be discussing pollution of all components of our environment, all important components of our environment. That with the use or with the development, basically, how our different components are getting polluted. Those things we'll be discussing in this block, basically, through the 4 units. Then we move to block 3. Block 3, which is about noise, radiation, solid waste, electronic waste, pollution, basically. This also again comprises 4 units. Unit 1 is related to noise pollution. That what are the various sources of noise pollution? How noise affecting the general person's health, or basically the workers in our factories, basically. Because in general, for general public, this is not that much important as it is important to our workers, basically. When these workers are dealing with such machines or processes which are very noisy, so their ears are getting affected. Their listening capacity getting affected, basically, with the long-term use or long-term exposure to the higher level of the sound or the noise. Then unit 2 is related to radiation and pollution. How the radiations are polluting our environment. What are the ill effects of these radiations on human health, basically. Then we move to unit 3 of this block. Then unit 3 is about solid waste pollution. This is the problem related to especially the urbanization. That as we are moving to the cities, basically, lot of waste is produced every day from every household and also from the factories, basically. Then this is a big problem, basically, just to dispose this solid waste. We have seen in almost every city the mountains of waste, basically. And this height of these waste mountains or garbage mountains is getting increased. And this is a very difficult problem to find a solution, that what to do with that. How to make a space for that more waste or garbage that is being produced daily. So this is a very big problem. Solid waste disposal is a very big problem. So how this solid waste is produced, how it is collected, how it is disposed, what are safe methods. If not done safely, then how it will affect our environment. These all things are covered in this. Then we move to next unit, which is unit 4. This is about electronic waste. Again, this is the problem of development, basically, because as we are developing, we are using more and more electronic gadgets. And these, you know that these electronic gadgets are having a limited life. So after use for certain time, basically we are throwing them. So again, it is giving a lot of amount of that, you can say, waste or garbage. That is because of that use of electronic gadgets, whether it is mobile phones, whether it is our laptops, whether it is our computers, whether it is our TV. So many things basically that we are using. And after some time, they are not functional or they are not in use. So ultimately we are throwing them, we are disposing them. But there are many things which are toxic, which having capacity to affect our environment, basically. Those things, when we are throwing in an unsafe manner, then our environment is certainly going to be affected, basically. So a proper way to dispose of these electronic waste is required. So those things we have discussed in this. Then we move to okay, fine. These are the 3 blocks. Now we move to our main topic, basically, that environmental health. So first of all, we start with the title, environment. What is the environment, basically? How you can define the environment. And later on, we will discuss the various components of the environment. What is the function of environment? How it is important? What is the importance of environment to human being, basically? Why we should take care of environment, basically. All these things we will be discussing. And ultimately, how the interaction of human being with the environment is polluting the environment. So this is the main focus of this discussion, basically. So you can define environment as a sum total of all external conditions and influences that affect the living organisms. This is the simplest definition, that around you lot many things are there, lot many things are happening there, lot many materials are there. So total sum of all the external conditions, whatever conditions are there around you, and the influences, how the things around you are influencing you and how you are influencing those things, basically. So the total sum of that is environment, basically. What is the importance of natural environment? Natural environment has significant impact on the quality of our life, basically, because we are living in the environment. So our life is getting affected by our environment. Whatever is there around us, it is affecting our life. It is affecting the quality of our life, basically. Simplest example is that if you are living in a place where the air is not of good quality, then it is going to affect your health. Whoever is there, whether he is weak or is strong or has a good immunity or bad immunity or lower immunity, ultimately that polluted environment will certainly affect that human being who is living in that environment. So this environment has a significance because it is affecting our life. It decides that what quality of life you can lead in that environment, basically. How will be your health in that environment? Because environmental health is directly related to your health. If the health of environment is not good, if the health of environment is poor, then certainly your health will be poor. Then next thing is sustainability of the planet. Our planet can survive and sustain in an environment which is healthy. If the environment is not healthy, then all the living beings of this planet will get affected and they cannot sustain for a long time. Ultimately, it will have bad effect on their lives and they will be affected to that extent that there will be a question on the survival of those living beings. So that is the importance, basically, of environment. Then this environment affect the climate related function of the atmosphere, because all our climatic functions that depends upon the environment. Various processes goes on in the environment, and especially that one component of the environment which is atmosphere. So various processes that happens in the atmosphere, these processes decide the climate of that place, and this climate is finally will affect the life of the living beings living there in that environment. Then our environment is responsible for absorption of many harmful rays or many harmful radiations, basically, like ultraviolet radiation from the sun. So there are zones, or there are layers basically in the atmosphere which are capable of absorbing those layers, and ultimately they are protecting the living beings living on this planet, basically. So that way our natural environment is important to us because it is protecting us in many ways. It is protecting the life at the planet in many ways, basically. So that is the importance of the natural environment. And that is why we should worry about the natural environment. We should take care of our environment. We should not pollute it and make it safe so that we can remain safe, basically. So this is the importance of our natural environment. Then, after discussing these importance of that natural environment, now let us talk about the threats to the environment. What are the threats to the environment? What are the sources of threats to environment, basically? So first threat is basically increasing population. Because nature has provided many things, but in a certain amount, basically. And these things which nature provides to us on this planet, basically, that are meant for a particular size of the population, basically. But with time, growth of population has increased too much. You can say overpopulation on the planet has occurred. But our resources are limited, basically. So we are exploiting our natural environment. And there is a difference that when we are using and when we are exploiting the things. When we are using the things in a wise way, then there is no problem to the environment. But when we are exploiting it, basically, so certainly some imbalance will be there. And this imbalance will cause the pollution to the environment, basically. For example, that for development we need energy. And as I told you earlier also, this energy production is utilizing the materials which are the source of pollution to the environment, basically. Our conventional source of energy, like we are burning coal, basically. So because of that burning of coal, lot of smoke is produced, and ultimately it goes to the atmosphere, it goes to the environment, and it is polluting our environment. So means more number of persons, more population, they will need more energy and more burning of these fossil fuels. So means more and more pollution of the environment. Like for transportation, we need different source of transportation. like two-wheelers, four-wheelers, then bus, lorries, train. All these things, they also need energy to run. And most of these vehicles are run on the fossil fuels basically. They are using either petrol, either diesel, CNG. So ultimately they are producing the waste which is going into environment and ultimately polluting the environment. Because whatever is being produced or left out as a waste in the environment during this process of production of energy basically, that is very harmful to our environment. So that way, this overpopulation or increased population is a threat to our natural environment. Then urbanization and industrialization. Because there is a nature that human being wants to live in a comfortable zone. Human wants a comfortable place to live. Human wants to make the life comfortable. And all these actions to make the life comfortable, to live in a comfortable environment, basically, ultimately, we need energy. So we are moving from, generally, there is a trend of moving from rural to the urban areas. And in urban areas, we need energy for various operations of our life. So here, with the increased trend of urbanization, we need more and more things there, and for producing these things and making our life comfortable, we again need energy. Then certainly with the increased production of energy, there is an increase in the pollution to the environment. Similar thing is there. With the increase in population, we need many things for the survival of this population. They need more food, they need more clothes, they need so many things basically. And for producing these things, raw materials are being converted to the final products. And with this, there are two things, that we are over-exploiting the natural environment. And second thing is that while converting that raw material into that final product, we are utilizing energy. Again, that source of energy is a source of pollution basically, because we are using the polluting source of our energy production. So here, because of urbanization and industrialization, again we are polluting our environment. So these two processes again becomes a threat to our natural environment. As I told you earlier also, that with urbanization, there is one very big problem, that disposal of the solid waste. Along with that, not only solid waste, more and more production of our liquid waste also, wastewater. And this wastewater has to be ultimately disposed in some water source, because it has to be finally left to some water source which can lead to that sea basically. So this whether it is a liquid waste or solid waste, again there is a big threat to our environment. And this liquid waste especially, it is polluting many things of our environment. It becomes a source of pollution to our air basically, because if this liquid waste or sewage basically is left to rot basically, it is producing many gases which is ultimately going to our atmosphere and polluting our environment. It is the source of pollution to our water. It is also the source of pollution to the soil. So in many ways, it is polluting our different component of environment. So this is the problem with the urbanization. Similarly, the waste which is coming out of that factories, that is also very harmful, very toxic to our environment. So these are the problems, these are the challenges, or you can say the threats to our environment, which are coming with the urbanization and industrialization. Then new chemicals and industrial processes. Because these factories are using different chemicals for producing many things, which ultimately we use in our life. And in these processes, basically, we are using many chemicals which are very toxic. Like for pesticides, insecticides, in our paints that we use basically for our buildings. So in so many things, plastics basically, in so many things, there are chemicals which are very toxic and they are harmful to our natural environment. Some new processes that have been introduced in the industries, basically, these processes are very harmful to our environment. So that way, these all things become threat to our natural environment. And why we should worry because of these things? Because Earth's ecosystems are fragile. And human beings have been contributing much to its degeneration. So all the actions of the human generally become threat to our natural environment. As we are so-called developing, we are degrading our environment in many ways, either by over-exploiting our natural resources or leaving the waste products into the environment which are harmful to our environment. But without giving a thought that ultimately we are living in the same environment which we are polluting. And ultimately it will give you back that in the way that you will breathe the same polluted air which you have polluted by your actions. You will drink the same polluted water which you have polluted. You will be living on the soil, polluted, contaminated soil, which you have contaminated by your different actions. So without thinking that whatever we are doing to the environment, ultimately you will get back from the environment the same thing. So we have to give a thought to this, that we are not polluting or we are not contaminating something else. Indirectly, we are polluting or contaminating our life basically, because it's a circle. We are polluting the environment, ultimately we are living in the same environment, and then you are getting affected by that polluted environment. So that is the reason that why we should give importance to safeguard our natural environment, and why our actions becomes threat to the environment. Now, let us see what are the different components of the natural environment. The natural environment you can divide into two broad categories basically. These two broad categories are physical environment and biological environment. Again, physical environment can be divided into three subcategories. Number 1, lithosphere. Number 2, hydrosphere. Number 3, atmosphere. Our biological environment is basically biosphere, which some people nowadays also called as anthrosphere, because here dominance of human being is nowadays is too much in the biosphere. So because of that, it is not a balanced biosphere, rather it is dominated by the human beings. So that way you can call it as anthrosphere also. And some people call, because of the same reason, the neosphere. So these are the various components of our environment. You can also divide into two simple categories basically, or the two simple components, biotic and abiotic. Means living things and non-living things of the environment. Like all that human beings, all birds, animals, living organisms, they are biotic. Abiotic means non-living things, which is like water, air, soil, all these things are abiotic. So these are the various components or classification of the components of the environment. The biotic component of environment interacts with the abiotic component of environment, leading to unique ecosystems. Different unique ecosystems are developed when the biotic components of the environment interact with the abiotic components basically. Like first is marine ecosystem. Means water was there as abiotic component. Then life got evolved in that water. So with the interaction of that living organisms and non-living organisms, biotic and the abiotic components, a ecosystem developed which are in water basically, that is in sea. So it was called as a marine ecosystem. If the similar ecosystem is developed in a pond, then you will call it as a pond ecosystem, because many organisms, living organisms are there in the pond. So that biotic and biotic and abiotic components are making an ecosystem in the pond as a pond ecosystem. If this ecosystem is developed in desert, because in desert also there are some microorganisms, there are some animals, birds. So if a system is developed in desert, so that ecosystem will be called as the desert ecosystem. So there are various ecosystems, and in these ecosystems there are two components, biotic and the abiotic basically. Now, so as I told you that there are different components of the environment. So out of these components, we will discuss one by one. So let us begin with the first component of the environment, the atmosphere, which is very important for sustaining the life on the planet. Because we are getting oxygen from this component. This component is safeguarding from the harmful radiations basically. This component of the environment is responsible for many climatic processes. So that is why this component is very important to us basically. What is atmosphere? Atmosphere is a thin veil or blanket of gases that surround the planet. That there is a thin layer of the gases around the planet basically. And that thin layer of gases around our planet is the atmosphere. What is the chemical composition of this layer? What are different gases which make this component of the environment? Basically, you can say two major components are there, or two major gases are there, which makes the 99% volume of the air near the earth. You know these two gases. What are these? One is nitrogen, which is around 78% out of the total volume of these two. 70% is the nitrogen gas. And oxygen takes a share of 21%. Means in that atmosphere, around 21% of oxygen is there by volume, and 78% is nitrogen by volume. And there are various other gases are there which are in a small percentage, very small percentage. These are the two main components or the two main gases in the atmosphere, which is making our atmosphere. And these two gases have importance to various lives, basically different lives. This oxygen is important to all living things, basically. Nitrogen is important to basically plant life, because plant utilizes nitrogen for their growth basically. For in our agriculture, there are many crops which use nitrogen basically. So both the gases are important. It is not that only oxygen is important. Nitrogen is important basically but for different purpose, for different kind of life basically. Now let us talk about that layers of atmosphere. So as I told you that atmosphere is a thin veil or blanket of gases around our planet. But this is not a single layer. Again, this layer is made of many layers. It is around, you can divide broadly into that 5 sub-layers. This atmosphere you can divide into 5 layers basically. What are these 5 layers? These are troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, thermosphere, and exosphere. What are different things that is happening in these various layers? What is the importance of these various layers? Basically, that we will discuss. Let us see this graphics. This shows the different type of layers of our atmosphere. As we see here, near the Earth's surface, starting from the Earth's surface, up to a height of around 10 miles, basically, this troposphere exists. Here all weather phenomena are occurring in this layer or zone only. Whether it is rain, cloud formation, hot air balloons, all such things happen here basically. And here the temperature is something around 62 Fahrenheit to minus 60 Fahrenheit. Temperature varying from depending upon that seasons basically. Then beyond this and at that you can say just above that troposphere is the stratosphere, and here you find that at the boundary, very near to the boundary of that troposphere and stratosphere, there is ozone layer. This is very important to the all type of lives basically. because this layer is protecting us from that harmful radiations basically. But this layer is getting depleted because of our industrial activities, our developmental activities, basically because hydrofluorocarbons basically, which are being emitted into the atmosphere, which are put into the environment basically because of various gadgets that we are using, like earlier this HFC gases were used in refrigerators and that air conditioners. So when these gases were reaching to this zone, they are destroying this ozone layer basically. So but now with this knowledge that these gases are harmful to ozone layer, so now some new gases have been introduced basically. So this is the importance of this ozone layer basically. And this stratosphere is around 32 to 85 miles thick depth basically, and here temperature is 5 degree Fahrenheit to minus 148 degree Fahrenheit. Above that is troposphere, and here you see that satellites generally are placed in this thermosphere layer basically, or zone. Here that height of this starts from that 86 miles to 372 miles basically, and beyond that is exosphere. So these are the different kind of layers of the atmosphere. Now let us discuss more about these layers. First I take the troposphere. As we see in that figure or the graphics, the troposphere extends to a height of approximately 12 kilometers. There in the graphics, the things were given in the miles, and the temperature was given in the Fahrenheit. Here we will be talking about that kilometers and temperature in degree centigrade basically. The temperature of the troposphere decreases with increasing altitude by about 6 degrees centigrade or 11 degrees Fahrenheit with every kilometer. This is the property of our this troposphere, that temperature near the Earth's surface is more, but as you go above, if you move away from the Earth's surface into the space, then temperature goes down, temperature drops at a rate of 6 degrees centigrade per kilometer. Means as you are moving up, though our environment is getting cooler basically. So near the Earth's surface it is warm, but as you go up it is cool. So that is that temperature gradient. Weather including turbulent wind, storms and most clouds occur in the troposphere. Means atmospheric phenomena, all the atmospheric phenomena are happening in this troposphere. Then there is a layer which is dividing the troposphere and that above layer. This is called tropopause. This tropopause is the top of the troposphere basically, which is a transition layer between the troposphere and the stratosphere. So this is about the troposphere. Now let us talk about the stratosphere. In stratosphere, the wind is steady and there is no turbulence, whereas in troposphere there is a turbulence, because you have seen sometimes it is a storm, sometimes it is very cool and calm. So there are turbulences, there are variations in the speed of the wind, there are so many things, atmosphere related phenomena are occurring in that the troposphere. But in stratosphere, the wind is steady and there is no turbulence basically in this layer. Then it extends from 12 kilometers to 50 kilometers above the Earth's surface. Temperature is more or less uniform, which is minus 45 degrees centigrade to 75 degrees centigrade. Then stratopause is the dividing layer. Like that tropopause, which was a demarking line or that layer, here the layer between the stratosphere and the mesosphere is stratopause basically. Now we move to title is wrong here, mesosphere it should be. Basically it contains a layer of no, it is okay, fine. It contains the layer of ozone critical to the life because it absorbs sun damaging ultraviolet radiation. As I told you earlier also, that this layer is containing that ozone layer, and this ozone layer is protecting us from the harmful ultraviolet rays that are coming from the sun. If this is not there, then life at Earth will be almost impossible. There will be lot many problems to the human beings, lot many problems related to skin, other so many things due to that ultraviolet rays basically. Ozone absorbs the radiant energy from the sun, and hence warmer temperatures are encountered in this layer. As you see that in comparison to that troposphere, the stratosphere is warmer basically because of this ozone layer. Now we move to mesosphere. Mesosphere is the layer of atmosphere directly above the stratosphere. Here temperature decreases with height basically. As the things were happening in troposphere, the similar process with the temperature gradient is happening here, that as you go up in the mesosphere, the temperature is getting down. It is getting cooler basically. And if you talk about that height, what is the range basically of depth of this layer? It extends from 50 kilometer to 80 kilometer above the Earth's surface. Temperature drops steadily in the mesosphere to the lowest in the atmosphere as low as minus 138 degrees centigrade. So in this June, the temperature go to such a lower limit that minus 138 degrees centigrade basically. Mesopause is the top of the mesosphere. Means here that line between that mesosphere and thermosphere is mesopause basically, which is dividing the two zones or the two layers of the atmosphere. Then comes the thermosphere. The depth range of the thermosphere is 80 kilometer to 480 kilometers basically. It is very hot. Gases in the thin air of atmosphere absorbs X-rays and short-wave ultraviolet radiation. Here this layer is also very important to us because this layer is absorbing the X-rays and also the ultraviolet radiation. So that is why this layer is important to us. So every layer of that atmosphere is having its importance, some function, which is giving protection to the life at the Earth basically. And it is unique to the Earth that we are having an atmosphere. Other planets are not that lucky. This absorption drives the few molecules present to great speed, rising the temperatures in the process to 1000 degrees centigrade. As I told you, that temperature is very high here. So it can go up to 1000 degrees centigrade or more even. This layer is important in long distance communication because it reflects outgoing radio waves back to Earth without the aid of satellites. That whatever function our satellites do, that we are sending signals to the satellite, then ultimately satellite is sending the signals back to us, so that communication is possible through the satellites. So similar function up to a limited extent is done by this layer also, that it is sending our signals back. So one way you can say that it is working as a communication satellite also. So this is very good thing with this layer. Now let us talk about the functions of the atmosphere. So with the discussion of different layers of the atmosphere, though we discussed the function of different layers, but in totality, what is the function of atmosphere? Let us see again, that this atmosphere protects Earth's surface from most of the ultraviolet radiation, X-rays, cosmic rays that are coming from the space, basically, because these rays are harmful to us. So this atmosphere is protecting us from many harmful rays and the radiations, basically. So this is the importance of atmosphere, because if atmosphere is not there, it is not only the oxygen that we will not get, it is the different kind of harmful rays and radiations from which this atmosphere is protecting us, basically. Atmosphere performs several ecological important functions also. This atmosphere protects Earth from high energy radiations. It allows visible light and some infrared radiation to penetrate, and these warm the surface and lower atmosphere. What is the function? That it is allowing the visible light and the infrared radiation, whereas stopping that ultraviolet radiations and other harmful radiations, basically. Because if this visible light and infrared light is not there, we will not get warm, we will not get heat at the Earth, and without heat also life is not possible, basically. Without light and heat, the life is not possible. So this is acting just like a filter, that it is giving us good things and protecting the harmful things. That is the importance. It provides life-sustaining oxygen. That is all clear, basically. The macronutrients, nitrogen is required for plant life, and also the carbon dioxide. It is also, carbon dioxide is harmful to us, but it is good for plant life, because for photosynthesis, plant utilize the carbon dioxide. So they are getting from the atmosphere ultimately. So after hydrosphere, let us talk quickly about hydrosphere. Hydrosphere, as you can understand, that from the word hydro means it is related to water, basically. So whatever is there related to water comes into this component of the environment, hydrosphere. So hydrosphere encompasses water bodies, namely oceans, streams, lakes, ponds, rivers, etc. So all these water bodies makes the hydrosphere. Means wherever the water is there, that is the part of the hydrosphere. This comprises all water resources, whether it is surface water or groundwater. Approximately 326 million cubic miles of water cover is there on the planet, but only 3% of this water is fresh water that you can make available to the life, basically. And 3/4 of the fresh water is found in polar ice caps and glaciers, and which is not available to the human beings basically, because out of this 3%, three-fourth component is there in the glaciers basically, and this is not available to us. Only what amount is available to us basically, that is very small, but that small amount is sufficient enough to sustain life on this planet if we do not misuse it, if we do not waste it basically. So that is the importance of this hydrosphere, because oxygen we need to breathe, then we need water to drink. This is also a very essential component basically to survive life on this planet. So we discussed about that what is the environment, what are the different components of the environment, then what is atmosphere, what is the importance of atmosphere, what are the different layers of atmosphere, what are the functions of atmosphere. Then I talked about hydrosphere. So with this I stop today, and we will discuss more concepts related to this topic in our next lecture. I hope you must have enjoyed this lecture, and I would like that you go through that study material that you have been provided with and come with some questions in our next session. Thank you.